and online at rocklandnews.com. Thanks for joining us today. Here are your hosts, Tom Osa and Mike Kluger.
And Mike isn't available right now. He's out in the field taking care of a few more interviews. But thank you for joining us on Rockland News' afternoon market report that we're doing every Tuesdays now. We have small businesses as well as large businesses talking about how things are going. And we first want to thank our sponsors. First of all, thank you to the New York Holders baseball team. Tickets on sale now for the 2026 season. Work Smart New York coming at the end of April, a business boot camp. Yabu Fence Company, Dana Pest Control, Easy Temp, Kobe Sushi with their jazz music lounge on Wednesdays and Saturday nights. Mention Rockland News and get 15% off your entire order at Kobe Sushi. So thanks for joining us today. We have a special guest, someone who's been on the show several times before, but I also happen to know him for almost 20 years. Joe, it's amazing that I actually said 20 years. It flies by. Joe Baratta from JB Baratta Realty, located in all of the Hudson Valley, but based in Westchester. And I asked him to hop on the show today to talk about the markets locally in Rockland County. Joe, thanks for joining us on Rockland News today.
Hey, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure, man. So we see each other nearly every week over at the BSPN, the Bi-State Professional Networking Group. And you are the realtor of the group. You have a fairly sizable firm, I would say. I think last time I heard was like 40 agents. And obviously you keep your tab on the markets. Generally speak, one of my friends separately, he just mentioned to me that he was out there looking for a place and $60,000 over the asking price when he ended up bidding and still didn't get the darn thing. So how's the markets looking lately?
That's a pretty interesting and typical situation. We've had homes where an agent calls me up, one of my agents, on a Sunday night and said, Joe, we are 100,000 over asking and it's in the bag. We'll do the paperwork in the morning. And the next morning I don't hear from him. I call him up and said, we got beat out by $50,000.
Jeez.
And that was in New City. That was not something that we're not talking Scarsdale. We're not talking anything. We're talking right here in Rockland County.
Mm-hmm.
If the home is priced correctly, it'll go into bidding wars. My wife is one of my agents, Donna Baratta, and she has a client. She pulled up 5 homes for them. All but one were multiple offers, all accepted, way over asking. So I know a lot of these agents because most of them were in my class at some point because I teach the real estate program. And I said, could you do me a favor? Could you just get her in? Maybe we could squeeze it in. He go, can't do it. You're so far over asking. Sorry, Joe, can't help you.
It's amazing. Yeah. And for those of you that want to take a look at some of the home values that are out there right now, you could go to josephbarattaandcompany.com and you can learn more about what's out there on the MLS locally and nationally. But yeah, quite frankly, I see it too. I mean, it's one of those things where obviously this is definitely not my area of expertise, and I'm happy to say that. But I thought that the prices were going to start to stabilize after COVID, and that's well behind us now. And still, the market is just, I mean, it's unbelievable.
In Rockland County, hard to believe, but we're up from last year about 2.5%. The median sale price for a home in Rockland County is over $700,000. That's the median sale price. That's not the highest. That's not the lowest. That's just right in the middle. Over 700,000.
Do you see additional activity currently on the market? Do you see people? I imagine that springtime, it kind of wakes people up from the winter. Do you see more people at this time putting their homes on the market? What's the inventory like?
Well, inventory is right now. This is the time of year that people are sprucing up and getting ready to put their house on the market. But there's this thing called the stuff inventory, there are sellers that are stuck with their, not stuck, they're happily stuck with their mortgages of around 3%. So it's kind of like it's handcuffs, but they're golden handcuffs. They're making very low mortgage payments and they have to go somewhere. Not everybody can sell their house and not need to get a mortgage on the next house. They'll get a mortgage and the new mortgages are up in the sixes now. So it's people are waiting either for the interest rates to come down a little bit and they're more anxious to sell their homes. But it's not stopping much.
Recently, the Fed decided to keep the prime rate stable. How does that typically affect the market as you're going into the spring season? Is there a little more fear, people trying to go out there and apply, or is the number of people out there looking to buy a new home, is that fairly stable as well?
I have to say that when you listen to the media, sorry, you're media too, but
Nah, it's okay. We're the
when we
bad
listen
guys.
to
It's
the
okay.
media, you would think people are going, "Oh my God, the interest rate went up 2.5%." 2 points. It's a quarter point up. It's a half a point up. And I did a questionnaire, and I asked a lot of realtors that I know personally. Like I said, I've trained lots of them. So I sent out emails and I said, how important is interest rate right now? And there's such a demand to buy homes. Most people don't care. They're sitting there going, it's 6% this week. They're not saying, wait, I better wait until it comes down. They just want a house. They don't really care. I have to say that from our experience, nobody cares. I haven't seen anybody say, "Oh, the mortgage rate just ticked up this week because of what's going on in the Middle East, so I'm not buying a house." That's not the case. They want a house. They want a house. Not interested in what the rates are. Believe it or
Do you
not.
see any specific places in Rocklands that are, I mean, you mentioned New City before. Any specific places that seem to resonate with a lot of people that contact you guys?
The hottest places in Rockland County: New City, Nanuet, Pearl River, but
Mhm.
we've still got homes flying off the shelf. One of our agents put a house in Stony Point on the market in great shape, and it was listed on Friday, Sunday night. So many offers. I said, "How's it going?" I said, "We're having difficulty picking because there are so many offers on the property in 3 days."
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah. Great to be a seller right now.
Apparently, yeah. I was going to ask you. I mean, does this make the job a little easier? You've been in the industry for 30 plus years. Like I mentioned, you have a huge team that you've cultivated. I remember, some 10 years back and such. It was like it was. I wouldn't
Eight
call it lean
agents,
pickings, if you
14
will, but it
agents.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned that we were around 40. It's actually over 100
My
agents.
goodness.
Yeah. And they are doing well. The overpriced homes sit on the market, and while it's great to be a seller right now, and if you have a listing as a listing agent, it's really great. But if you have a listing, you have a sale. If you have a buyer, I can have 10 buyers. It can be disappointing to a lot of the agents because they go out, they put an offer in, the buyer thinks like, "Oh, I'm going to go 20,000 over asking," and you have to bring them the bad news of like, we got blown away. Not you got beat out by $1,000, couple thousand. Let me see if we can come higher. And just blown away. And not everybody has the ability to come in that much higher.
What do you tell agents at this point? Obviously the market is hot. Being a real estate agent in general is probably quite lucrative now. From your years of being in the industry, is there anything that you tell your new agents, how to manage their business or manage their concerns?
Well, when we're taking buyers out, when you're taking a buyer out, your buyers have to shop at a substantially less than what their mortgage pre-approval says they're available. They can qualify for a $550,000 house. You should be looking in the 5 to 510 range because you're going to need that extra cushion in order to secure the house. That's
Hmm.
pretty much, and it's easy to convince the agent and educate them on that, but it's not easy to tell a buyer. They think I'm just trying to get a higher commission out of them, and it's not about that. The commission is peanuts when I'm trying to negotiate for you. So if we're trying to get you a house and we tell them you got to come up another 20,000 if you want the house, let me help you, and they just look at you like you're just trying to help yourself and get a bigger commission. It's not about that. And work with buyers all day long, and the ones that listen are happy and they get the house. The ones that don't, they're disappointed, and it reflects back on the agent, like the agent did something wrong.
Yeah. Now, the residential market is, of course, highly regulated. We go back to even just thinking about the whole Fannie Freddie Mac, the crisis that happened back in the 2000s and the 2010s. The commercial market seems to be a little bit different in that there's a little less not oversight, but there's less heavy-handed regulation of the industry. Um, what is the commercial market like these days, especially in Rocklands? Is there available inventory? What's it like?
Let me just start by saying people buy the homes that they're going to live in completely based on emotion. It's completely emotion driven. So there's a lot more risk for a residential buyer when they're buying something. No one buys a strip mall and say, "Oh my God, did you see the bathrooms in here? They were so wonderful. I can't wait to go to the bathroom there." No one is doing that. No one's taking a bath. But you walk into a house and you get a feeling, and that's why you want to buy a house. Commercial is strictly numbers. They want to buy a property. The math has to work. Your rent has to be documented, and it's got to be affordable to pay you back. Because somebody could take, let's say you have $1 million. I could put $1 million in the bank, and I know how much I'm going to get. Not much, but I know how much I'm going to get. I could put it in the stock market, and I have an idea of how much I can earn, but that's kind of risky. Somebody takes that same million and wants to put it into a piece of commercial property. They have to take the risk of, if I put in this property, is the tenant going to pay me rent? Are the costs going to go up? Rents don't go up that quickly, but fuel does, taxes do. So they have to do the math. And if the math works, inventory still flies off the shelf for commercial property. If you have a multi-family, oh my God, if I just mentioned in my office that I have a 2, 3, 4 or more multifamily for sale, it's climbing out of the woodworks. It doesn't sit on the market at all.
Yes, and in certain locations, of course, of Rockland, multifamily is it's being talked about more. I would say one of the things that's driving that is, with mixed use housing and policy around that, as well as something called transit oriented design. I don't know if you've
Oh
heard
yeah,
of this,
that's my
but
strategy. I'm not
the town of
gonna.
Clarkstown is pretty hot on it right now.
Not a clue what transit-oriented design is.
Oh yeah, no, I'm sorry. It's so basically it's really because a good example is you got the train station. It's right by the Nanuet Town Center.
Yeah.
So for the last year, they've been talking about building kind of like mixed use property on that old Nanuet Mall area. Uh,
That was that actually when they originally renovated the mall, they were supposed to have the train stop behind the mall, and they were going to build townhouses in there, and it was supposed to be this little mini city. It was supposed to be wonderful, and the town, whoever not the founding fathers, but the ruling administration at the planning board said, nope, we're not going to do that. And so since the train stop wouldn't be there, they're going to move it up from Pearl River just a couple of thousand feet.
mhm.
And since they did not approve it, they scrubbed the idea. That's why when you go into Nanuet Mall, it looks like streets. It looks like a little town, right? It was supposed to be
Right. Yeah.
townhouses, apartments, and then the train right there. It was perfect. Now they're bringing it back because no one wants to go to that mall anymore. But the idea has been around. It's been around since that mall originally when there was Boscov's. Remember when they were tearing that thing down?
I remember Boscov's. I used to shop there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a whole bunch of really cool properties there. I mean, remember Walden Books was in the mall.
Yeah.
The old WRCR that was actually in the mall for a while.
I actually, I don't know if you remember this one, but the Nanuet Mall had, where the marquee is on 59, there was a restaurant called Daly's Dandelion.
Uh-huh.
And that was my first date with my wife 41 years ago.
Really? Wow, that's amazing.
It's no longer there, yeah.
Yeah. The marriage still is, though. That's still...
Yeah. 41 years and holding.
Mazel tov, man. That's awesome.
Thank you. Same person.
Yeah, and that in itself, the ability to do that in this day and age is probably not as easy as maintaining mortgage rates at a steady pace for 20 years.
Yeah. But I think that when it comes to a lot of these decisions, like that thing in Nanuet or anything else, the people that are making the decisions either are not really understanding what they're voting on. They really don't get it. I'm not exactly sure. I don't like talking about corruption because I really don't know too much. I try not to stay in politics.
Yeah, you know.
It affects my thinking. So I stay out of politics, and I don't really go in that direction. I could care less. I mean, it doesn't affect me one way or the other as an individual. But when it comes to making decisions about that, like when they scrapped that idea of moving a train station, the people that made the decisions had no clue what they're even voting on. But they didn't see the big picture.
Interesting. And I think it's possible that the reason why it's being revisited is because there's a lot of there's definitely a lot of grant money out there. So as was reported on Rockland's News about 2 weeks ago, Clarkstown received, I believe, $1.8 million for both traffic studies and upgrades. And I saw something, we'll have to check this on rocklandsnews.com, but there's another article on there where I believe that the Clarkstown received additional millions from a federal grant, but I'll have to look at that. Please, those of you that are listening, please head to rocklandnews.com. Don't take my word for it, but there's definitely a focus in on that area right by the Nanuet Town Center. Joe, what's your daily work regimen like these days? Check into the office in Westchester, show houses, or what are you doing these days?
No, I graduated from selling houses with an office as large as mine. I am administrator and making sure I'm the Shell Answer Man. If anyone's old enough to remember the Shell Answer Man, I'm the guy that agents call up and say, "Hey, can I do this? And how do I do this?" And I'm really not in the day-to-day. I don't take people out shopping, and I don't really list any homes myself. But I'm conducting business in the office. I'm there. It's a real estate. It's 7 days a week. People
so that kind of falls in line with your teaching practices as well, because you also teach at the local college in Westchester.
Yes, Westchester. I've been there 18 years, teaching real estate related, anything real estate related classes, and I do also at the Board of Realtors.
Interesting. Do you enjoy the teaching still?
I love teaching. I can. It's shutting me up is a problem. I can't stop talking.
Well, you're part of, you get the Italian thing going. It's like,
yeah. Right now, you don't see my hands when I'm talking because they're literally around all over the place.
Yeah. What's that joke they said? What do you call an Italian with no arms? A mute.
I don't know anybody in my family that doesn't talk with their hands.
Mm-hmm. Well, Joe, this has been an awesome conversation. You're actually the kickoff to the financial report series that we're aiming to do every week. We do the small business component on Tuesdays, but we're also adding in the financial. So colleagues that you know very well, for instance, Mitchell Kahn, KAHN from Hunter Financial. We're going to see if we can get Mike Paris on and a few others to talk about markets, finance, anything related to numbers. And I figured that you'd be the best person to kick this whole series off with. So we appreciate you.
Before you knock me off, can I do a shameless plug? I have two
Please,
books.
yeah. And you're the author of 3 books. Three
Yes.
books.
3 books. Two I want to promote the most right now. My most recent one. It's more of a handbook. It's called I Know a Guy, and it is how to be an ultimate connector. And I've been in networking my entire business career. I've been self-employed for 41 years as well. April 12th is my 41st anniversary of being self-employed. And I wrote a book about networking and how it has saved me and brought me places that I could never do on my own. It's called I Know a Guy, and it's available on Amazon. It's an Audible and Kindle and paperback. And my other book is my first book that I wrote is called Balancing Act, and that is about navigating a career and your family. As I mentioned, I'm with the same person for 41 years, and it's a difficult balance to run a business, be self-employed, keep your clients happy, keep new business coming in, and still have my wife and children know me, like me, and want to talk to me. And I think I pulled that off pretty well. And I wrote
It's
all
always
that.
a plus, right? Always a plus to have that level of appreciation. Um, the 3 books that you have, and I have
Yes.
this for those of you that are listening. We will, of course, be posting this along with the podcast. So the 3 books are Balancing Act, Navigating a Real Estate Career and Family, I Know a Guy, which is your recent book, Joe, How to
Right.
Be the Ultimate Connector in a Disconnected World, and Get Off the Couch, A Beginner's Guide to Health and Fitness, which actually helped me to get back into the gym. I finally made the jump back in last year, so thank you for that.
We
Uh,
we were in a boot camp class together for many years, and that was the stimulation that got me off the couch. And I looked in the mirror one day and I said, I can't look like this. There's just no way I'm going to be as old as my dad is or was, and still be in great shape. There's no way if I just eat chocolate donuts and sit on the couch. So I wrote it called Get Off the Couch. It's a health and fitness starter guide for people.
mhm. Sounds like a good thing to have on the coffee table in front of the couch, just as a reminder.
There's a picture of a guy eating like donuts on the front cover. So actually, he's eating ice cream.
That's perfect. Well, Joe Barada from Joseph Barada and Company. Again, for those of you that are looking to learn more or perhaps contact him to buy or sell your home, Joseph Barada and Company.com, and we'll post that on the podcast as well. But we hope to see you. We'll probably do the rounds for the rest of the spring. Maybe you can join us once again, Joe, toward the end of the spring.
Very happy to. Anytime.
All right, great. Well, thanks for joining us today. And that's all right now for our Rockland News Financial Report, available on Apple and Spotify shortly. And those of you that are hearing this on live stream, thank you for joining us once again today. I'd like to thank our sponsors, the New York Boulders baseball team, Work Smart New York Business Boot Camp coming out the end of April, Yabu Fence Company, Dana Pest Control, Easy Temp for all your ice machine repairs in Hackensack, New Jersey. Kobe Sushi with their Jazz Music Lounge, music on Wednesdays and Saturday nights. Mention Rockland's News and get 15% off your entire sushi order, $75 or over. Whole Shot Bagels located in Haverstraw, New York. 99 signs. Remember, a business without a sign is a sign of no business. Learn more at 99signs.com. And we'll look forward to seeing you once again on the Rockland's News Financial Spotlight. Thanks. Talk to you soon.